So let's talk about the art I've been producing lately. Hello, my name is Veronica, aka Vespertilio. I am an Italian comic book author, tarot and oracle deck creator, and your spooky art teacher.
It's me again, yours truly.
So let's immediately talk about the elephant in the room. I got myself bangs. I also chopped off all of my nails. I needed a change. I needed something to change. This was impulsive. I made it myself. So I just want to take advantage of the fact that today is not super hot, although summer has already come here. It is so hot. I don't handle warm weather very well, if I have to be honest, unless I'm like playing mermaids on a daily basis, swimming in the sea. I really struggle with that. I would like to talk about the art I've been producing lately. Lately, I've felt the need and the pull toward creating for the sake of creating, and I have kind of stopped sharing my creations with the world. And there's nothing wrong about that. I actually think it has been somehow beneficial. I went through a pretty stressful period, and that definitely helped me. But since I've ended up with few art pieces that I'm ultimately proud of, I thought, why not? I could show them to you and we could talk about my art process, the inspiration I've been drawn to lately, and also the technique I'm using and the tools I'm using, even though I really want to do a separate video about all of my favorite art supplies. With that said, I think we can dive right into it. I want to approach this video like a conversation with my best friend, even though it's not going to be the same because those are way more chaotic. Some of those, but very few of those, were shared in short videos or in my Instagram stories, but I think the last 3 pieces are like surprise, let's say. So the first thing I want to talk about is the inspiration behind those pieces. Some of you, if you've been following me on Instagram, you might remember this sketch I made. Basically, this is a sketch about a possible origin story for my witch character W, and I was inspired by medieval aesthetics. I follow a lot of creators who are now attending Ren fairs and stuff like that, and in Italy there's not much of that. We have more like medieval reenactments. We have a couple of fantasy festivals, but at least I never attended many of those, or even none in my life. So I don't know why I kind of craved for that aesthetic, even though I've always been more of a sucker for the Victorian era, because ironically, I didn't find the medieval times, the medieval aesthetic, gothic enough. But lately that has changed. Lately I've been finding myself really drawn to the medieval aesthetic. So that's why I've made this piece in the first place. That's the reason why I made this, which is my princess head, basically. Also, I can't show you yet because it's not done, but I'm also creating a book. You know, illuminated books. I want to do one. Many of the things I'm going to show you today are like studies and inspiration for what I want to do with that project. And I'm building the whole book from scratch. I'm not getting a book, I'm building the book. That's a fun passion project. With that said, let's move on. I have notes, let me check the notes. Let's briefly talk about my creative process for those of you who are new here, for those of you who don't know me at all. Gosh, now it is more than a year. I've been drawing mostly like 80% of my production, if we exclude my professional work like comics and illustrated books that have to be approved by other people, of course. I've been drawing strictly, directly, pen on paper, without any sketch first. About my creative process, I think it is really important to let you know that there are 2 separate aspects of that. I either have a picture in my mind, I sound insane. I either have a picture in my mind and I try to put it on paper as close as possible, or I feel like I want to draw something. I know I am obsessed with medieval core right now. I start drawing and I follow what the pen does. I sound insane as well with this statement, but I'm going to explain it to you while I walk you through the pieces. So I work directly with pen, and then I've added more steps, new steps to my creative process as of lately, and I'm going to show it to you. So let's move to this piece right here. This was also a short video. Can I talk? It was my first short silent vlog kind of short video. How can I show this to you? Let me just do this, okay? I think it's the best way. So, for example, for this piece right here, it was a mix of both things. Because basically, I imagined this scene of W like indulging in her previous medieval life, but I wanted to give it an impression of obsession for magic. Initially, I had done like just her with the chair, and I had only this row of the bookshelf with the witchcraft book like sticking out. And so I wanted to give the impression of her not really being focused on what she's doing, but being obsessed with this book, with magic, with witchcraft. And then everything else added up, basically. I didn't plan the composition. Most of it is also stuff I added to cover up wrong lines, wrong strokes, mistakes. Most of the time, the more the piece becomes interesting, the more has been covered, the more mistakes have been covered. So I think that's kind of the beauty of drawing directly with pen, is that even when you make a mistake, you decide to cover it up, or you decide to turn that mistake into something else, and the end result can be extremely pretty. Now, what are the extra steps I started adding? So you might remember, it might have been last year, now that I think about it, but basically I've been gifted by Mambin their thermal label printer. I've been using it mostly to create black and white stickers for myself. And lately I've started printing out, I'm going to show you one regular one. So basically I either take pictures or scan the piece, but pictures are fine because like working with curves with blacks and whites, I am able to achieve a pretty clean result and then print it out on the little labels, just for reference, half the size. I wanted to color this. My first experiment was actually this piece right here, a picture of myself that I'm going to use for the poster of my little gig at a local music festival. And I had this picture, which is a screenshot from one of my musical videos. And I had decided to try color it with alcohol markers. And this is the result. So this was my first attempt on using colors on black and white labels, basically printed labels. And this inspired me to do the same with my black and white art pieces. But of course, as usual, it started off with me being super scared. And so I had started testing the colors out digitally on Procreate. I immediately got tired of that. I have it in my notes, but I am craving traditional art. The physical act of painting. It is something that I think it kind of works as meditation to me. The act of painting with the markers, basically. So I think that's why I immediately put away the digital aspect of this process and I went straight on the traditional aspect. Those are the two different versions that came out. Now, the fun fact about this creative process is that this was the first one I did that I had like put away because the yellow was too bright on this one, okay? And at that point, this silver decoration, like of course this is inspired by medieval book pages, illuminated books, this wasn't there. Initially, I just wanted to color the pieces, so I had done this one where the yellow was a bit more of a pale yellow. But then I felt like I needed to have a bit more fun. I needed to add an extra step. But since, again, I was afraid of ruining the good one, I went on the bad one, and it ended up being the best one. Because in the end, the brighter yellow worked better. This decoration looks... Let me see if I turn this light. Okay, maybe you can see it better. But I really love how this turned out. Fairly better. So this is the first experiment, and from this one on, I definitely went on a kind of a spiral with this kind of technique. So this is so fun. I actually shared this. I did this. This was a multiple steps piece because I had started with drawing the piece. I did the balloon digitally. I printed it out and sticked it to the original sketch, of course. And then, since I wasn't satisfied with that, look what I did. Yeah, this is from yesterday, this little thing I did. But basically, now we have an extra step with the colored version of her. So it is like a playbook. You can have it in black and white, and then you can have it with colors. I thought about this as a meme. So the whole I just want to be whimsical vibe, that is me, by the way. So I showed you the process of this piece on this video right here, the video about tired artists and restless artists, and this was also very interesting, the art process of this piece, because basically I had done a meeting via video, and I was very stressed and very scared and afraid. I told you I had a pretty stressful period. What I did, I don't know if I can show you because there are still notes, but basically on this little notebook, which was gifted to me by a lovely follower, I started doodling in this notebook while we were having that meeting because it felt so stressful. I think I have more pieces I then cut out. This actually looks really, really cute. This is an extra piece that I had drawn during that meeting and then cut out. And this is another print I had made of the I just want to be whimsical princess. I also have this Magical Girls Resistance. I don't know, I wrote this. It was comforting at that moment. What I did is basically I wanted to experiment. I still want to. And I had those braids cut out, and I decided to put them on the page and build something around them. I just figured out there are cat hair on my flowers, and every time I put in front the art pieces you can see them. So cat mom life. I actually filmed half of the process of this piece and never shared it with anyone. This is another meme idea of, this is W, and she's performing divination with a crystal ball and some cards, etc. And she's like, I'm busy. Just, I'm busy. I had extra labels, like extra pieces of labels, and I have drawn the balloon and wrote the text, cut it out and put it on the piece. And then I added some silver accents. Hope you can see them. And for the background, I decided to go with this purple color, light purple color. For this one, I just decided to go straight on the page. First, I thought, oh, okay, I can print it out, etc. But since it had so many details at first, I thought, no, I'm just going to go with this. And I'm glad I did. But I definitely changed my mind later on, because then we arrived to this piece right here. So this was another idea for a meme that then I ended up not doing. So the concept, let me see if, okay, let me focus this. The concept for this was talk to the hand kind of meme. And basically she's studying magic, she's very busy with her stuff. And then there is a palm reading kind of type of hand, and she'd like talk to the hand. So this is how it came out. I invite you to notice some of the wrong strokes and mistakes that I ended up not covering. But most of the things you see, like when I started this piece, fun fact, I started from this corner right here, like the face of the character, and when I started this piece, I was like, okay, I don't feel like drawing, I'm just going to feel this little area. And then you go on. Like I can't control it. I start off by being like, okay, I'm just going to do this little part, and then I get carried away. Thank goddess, I might add. So this is the original one. And then of course I was like, okay, let me print that out and add the sticker of talk to the hand, etc., because I don't want to put it directly on the piece. And I ended up doing like a whole other thing. This is the printed version, okay, so half size. And I have 3 different versions. And once again, the best one ended up being the one I had put away. So I did this one first, and of course it didn't have all of the silver accents and decorations back then. And I did this one first. So imagine this without the silver, and I was like, okay, no, the yellow is too bright, it's not quite working. So I did another one. And fun fact, for the character here, I use alcohol markers, while for the background it is acrylic markers. So I did another one, and this time I wanted the hand to pop out a bit more, so I did the hand yellow, I did the background with the acrylic marker, and I did the character with this light blue. I actually thought, okay, I like it maybe a little more. Lately I've been weirdly obsessed with purple, so I decided to do this same thing but with a purple tone. I did the same exact thing, only with acrylic marker, purple acrylic marker and light purple alcohol marker. But then of course I was like, I can add a little silver, a little decoration, etc. Where should I do it? On the one I don't like. And of course it ended up being the best one. I'm really happy about how this turned out. This is one of my favorites, and I loved it to the point that I ended up not adding the talk to the hand meme. As you can see here, for the silver decorations, I first go with acrylic marker, with the silver marker, and then I line it out. Line it out? I hope that's English. Really pretty. Okay, next one. Okay, I'm going to show this to you. Even though I didn't do much with this, it is just a sketch of my character. She's basically between some tree branches. And again, the reason why this is so detailed and has this kind of deep hatching is because I had to cover up a bunch of mistakes. Yeah. When you see me indulging in such articulate pieces, it is mainly because I needed to cover up mistakes. Okay, we're almost done actually. So this is one of my favorites. When I first did this, I was like, I hate this, of course. This is important because never ever give up on an art piece before you had your genuine due amount of fun with it. I did this piece. I wanted to do something with Vespertilio, but that could also match that medieval vibe I was inspired by and that I was looking for. So I did this piece right here, where basically I wanted her hair to be part of the decoration. As I said, at the beginning I kind of hated this, but then I was like, okay, let me print this out and see what happens. So this is how it looked, even though this had too much space all around, and so I didn't work on this one. Basically, I ended up loving all 3 versions. I literally struggled choosing. So the first one I did was actually, I believe, this one. And again, when I did it first, I didn't add all of the golden, in this case, decoration. But I wanted to do something with gold in this case. So blue and gold instead of more silver. I did the background with this light blue, and then I momentarily stopped working on this because then I was like, what would look amazing if the entire background was gold and shiny. I really am craving for shiny tones lately. This one is the one that, like, I love the most. I love them all, but this is shiny because look at that. Oh, it's like a mosaic. I hope that's how you pronounce it, but it is so beautiful. I love the gold background in this one. So the background is acrylic golden marker, and the character is a light blue alcohol marker. And I love the contrast, oopsie, between these two colors. I think they complement each other very, very well. And so this one I really, really adore. These two, I think these two are my favorites. I really struggle to choose between these two. However, I like the moon. I'm a moon child. So I wanted to see if I could get the same vibe with more lunar tones. And so I went with silver and light purple. And I did this other version. This is still really beautiful, but I still think I prefer this one. So this is the silver and purple. It is really, really pretty, this one too. But I still think, like, I don't know, this one does something to me. I don't know. But these three, they're all very pretty. I was really satisfied with these three versions. So I'm very happy about them. I already showed this to you in my The Artist's Way episode 11, but basically I decided to redesign the cover of my Frankenstein paperback copy. I didn't like the cover of that paperback edition, so I decided to design an alternative. Let me see if I can put it in focus better. And I started off with other sketches. Like here I have some things. I'll just show it to you very briefly. And then I basically ended up printing it with the thermal label printer, and I put it together on the book, and it came out pretty good. I really like how this turned out. Okay, this is the last one I did, and I'm really proud of this one, but I'm not done with it. I don't think I'm done with it. I might be done with it, but I don't think I'm done with it. It is another picture of my character W, and this is also meant to be inspiration and a study for her backstory that I'm thinking about. This was kind of a different art process because I started off with the drawing. Let me show this to you. For this piece in particular, I didn't know what this was going to be. So I just started with her face, and then I was like, let's see what happens. Here I did a wrong stroke and I decided to turn it into the hat, etc. Lately I've been weirdly obsessed with unicorns, and I've been seeing unicorns everywhere. I saw a video of a creator I really like, and she talked about unicorns because she went to Scotland. I am watching again, rewatching Merlin, and there's an episode about unicorns, of course. The other day, on Friday 13th, we had our sister night with my sister, and we wanted to watch a horror movie, but I was like, I'm not in the mood. We couldn't watch Friday the 13th, now that I think about it, but we ended up watching Legend, and the plot goes around a unicorn. So I've been fairly obsessed with unicorns, and I decided to put a unicorn skull on her lap. And this had like a peculiar genesis because basically I had stopped here. This part didn't exist. But then I looked at it. One trick I always tell also my students is when you don't know what's wrong with your piece, look at it in the mirror or take a picture and flip it horizontally. And I kept seeing that this was not balanced at all. And so, because I think this is very interesting, basically I did her feet. But this foot came out very weird looking. So I put a shoe on this foot. But the other foot wasn't that bad looking. And so I decided to have her like she had removed one of her shoes. Maybe she just needed to free her right foot for the moment, but she didn't remove her left shoe. I think it is a nice detail. And then I wanted to add like a proper unicorn. And so I decided to add this medieval shield. I don't know how those are called. Family crests. You got what I mean because you can see it obviously. And I also added some silver accents. Now, I worked with silver, but when it came the time to work on the prints, because I was like, let me add something more to this, okay? So I printed it out. And as you can see, I have multiple empty versions because I actually ended up having fun mainly with the first one I did. And I had seen, while I was looking for references, I saw this picture of a shield that was pink, I think gray and green. And I love the pink-green association. So I was like, ooh, I want to work with that. But then I was like, do I want to use silver again? Or do I want to spice it up a little? So I decided to go for gold. Oh my god, no! I'm discovering this right now. No, some gold got cut in these. So I need to fix this live. Look, those were swatches. Look, it caught some of the gold. Let me fix it live real quick. So this is the acrylic paint markers I'm using for gold and silver. I'm using the Ohuhu ones. Let me fix this real quick. And it turned out so pretty. I started with the pink background. Then I added all of the, I think I added the gold and wrote the U of unicorn. Then I added all the foliage, the decorative foliage, and then I added the golden decoration. But yes, basically this is what I yapped enough. This is what I ended up with. And I really, really love how this turned out. I love the pink with the gold and the green. It looks really, really pretty. And I want to keep experimenting with these two. I don't know if I'll try to do a pink and silver, or I don't know what I might do. I also was thinking about doing the entire skull with a shiny tone. So either entirely silver or entirely gold. We'll see, but this is for a future video because we're done. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I really liked talking, yapping about my art and my creative process and how I got the ideas for these pieces. I watch videos like Art I Consume. I like to watch videos like that. Those are really inspiring. There's a creator I really love. Shout out to her. She's Carissa Love, also formerly known as the Love Witch. And she does this series where every month she's like now we are in June, and she'd put out a video called Art I Consumed in May, basically. So I thought I could do art I produced in month X. Of course, now this is not all of the art I have produced in this month. I hope won't be all the art I produced this month. Maybe I'll put out another video with other pieces I might do in this next a week and a half. That might be fun. I'm sorry if this was kind of all over the place, so I hope this was pleasant. And with that said, if you stayed till this point, thank you very much. I will see you very soon with more art videos. In the meantime, let's make art. Bye.